and the play ends with hope. Doesn't end happy, but it ends with hope. And I think people can really grasp, no matter what you're going through, we can all relate to that it's like it's a process, it's day to day. You have to put that next foot forward. And so I think just when people see a piece where you struggle with your, the core of your humanity, and you feel like other people, it's easier for other people, and people can't understand the pain that you're going through, and it doesn't have to be molestation. It can be addiction, or it can be abuse from a spouse, or anything, or mentally challenged people can they just don't feel understood, and they've been wounded, and so I think it can be really deeply affecting to people, and there were some people who couldn't. It's a very funny play, but a very dark play. But at the end, there were just a couple of people who just couldn't leave their seat, who just were having an emotional, a relationship with whatever they were having, and it conjured things for them personally, and they were deeply affected and deeply emotional about it, and had to sit for a while. And one of them is a really, really good friend of mine that I've known for like 25 years, and she knows my story. So it wasn't so much her seeing my story. I think it touched things really deep inside
within
of her.
And
she just, just couldn't get out of her seat for a while. She really just sat and wept for about 20 minutes. And we had several people like that, which is really sweet. You never want to, you're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's sorry. Thanks for coming.
Watch your money back.
But it was really exciting, to see that the people, the reactions were all over the board, which is great. But everybody, without question, thought it was funny. And when you're dealing with a dark subject, and you don't, it's not like, it's tough. It's tough, and it can be offensive. I think if you cross the line, it's a really fine line that you walk.
Yes.
And so those were my concerns. It's my story. I'm used to it, but how when it comes across the footlights,
right?
How's that going to affect the people sitting in the seats? Is it going to be too upsetting for them to deal with this subject matter in this way?
Well, one of the things we talk about in the workshop is that it's the writer's job to be truthful and to present the story in such a way that you're not really concerned in the birthing process of the play of how it might be received,
right?
But you just really connect to telling the truth of the story,
right?
But then there's that transition that happens when the play goes up on its feet.
Then you sell tickets, and it becomes a whole other age.
Yeah, then
you're like,
wow.
I'm a little bit, dewy. A little dewy, I guess. It's a little verklempt there with it, but excited. It was very exciting, and very exciting when your jokes land and your comedy works.
Well,
and I know, because you have quirky humor. I love your humor, and we've talked about this. I love your writing style, and I just so get it that it just, it tickles me. I get every joke that comes across, and I'm, but it's really nice when you're kind of quirky and people get your sense of humor.
Yes,
it's really nice.
Well, now I was going to say one thing I really admire about your writing is, regardless of the depth, which you do have a lot of depth that comes forth on the page, and then of course, comes up on the stage. Even with that depth, you seem to somehow balance it with this very wry sense of humor. And I really appreciate that about your work, and it's also in your personality. You don't really have shallow relationships. So as a playwright, that kind of transfers for you onto the page, and that's a real blessing, because some people try to manifest some of their really great qualities into their work, and sometimes it doesn't really make it onto the page, but in your case it really does.
Well, thank you. It's like you said about just being truthful, because I don't have the academics behind my playwriting, and maybe that's a blessing, because I don't think this can't possibly work, or you never do that, or George Bernard Shaw never considered this, or he always did this. I don't have any of those messages, so it's very, for me, human, primal
guttural,
relationship.
right from your
Mhm.
core.
Just comes, right from there. And I don't think this will never work. I just think this is what's coming out. And it's sort of, if I can get out of the way of that and just allow it to be and not try to shape it while it's
Coming forth. Yeah, we always talk about first draft with your heart, and then you do the rewrites with your head.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
You try to involve the head in there somewhere.
Well,
Yeah. Why do you think it is you resonate so well with playwriting? Why do you think you took to it so well?
I have no idea, but I'm so glad that I always tease at least it's just size 8.5 foot is permanently imprinted on my derriere because she just crushing. And I was like, no. And I'm so glad. I have no idea. I think because I don't know. I think because I can just when it's just you and the page, it can be very intimidating. And it can also be very liberating, just to allow it to be able to express things through other people's mouths, people that you create, is really, it's awesome. And you get to do that as an actor. I always say I'm public speaking. But if I can hide behind a character in a wig. I say,
it's amazing what you can do in a wig.
A little lipstick and some pumps, and it's very funny how you get the courage to stand out. It's your mask.
But you don't sit at your writing desk with pumps and a wig.
No. Well, wouldn't that be a great episode for this series?
I think we need to write that.
That's funny. But it's just the freedom to allow the voices in your head to speak what they need to say. It just you have to just be at one with all the chatter in your head and allow them to go forth. Yeah.
So do you mind repeating the name of your play again? Because there's people that keep up with this web series all over the country, and I want to make sure that if your play comes to their town, it's Melanie Ewbank. And say the name of the play again.
I Found Baby Jesus in the Cat Box.
Great. Now, I know that there's going to be more plays for Melanie coming because she just has a wealth of love and passion for the human condition.
Yeah.
You probably might call it something else like what would you call it?
Oh, no.
The unbearable
burden of the voices in the head.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's another play.
I do too. But the next play is going to be, what is it? Oh, Fat Man on a Crotch Rocket. I've already come up with the title. That's my title, people.
Your titles are very intoxicating.